because of serious security threats. Her appearance at the event had to be canceled. It wasn't a sudden decision either. It was something our team had been watching closely for several days before the event. In fact, we had a separate high school event scheduled before the college appearance, and we were forced to cancel that one early because of the growing online threats our security team was tracking. At first, we believed the main event would still be safe since Secret Service protection was involved. We thought that with the right precautions, everything would be under control, but the situation became much more complicated. I have to be careful with certain details because our security team understandably doesn't want to reveal too much and give dangerous people more ideas. What was happening was people were actively trying to track Erika's travel plans, exposing private details, attempting to monitor her movements, and even discussing ways someone could physically target her. We were constantly adjusting schedules, changing routes, switching locations, doing everything possible to stay ahead of it. Nobody should have to live like that. It was honestly a terrible experience, and I felt awful for Erika. At some point, when your security team looks at you and says they can no longer guarantee your safety, the decision becomes very real. You have to step back and say, we'll handle this another way. That's exactly what happened. I was honored to step in for Erika. I was grateful that the vice president was still willing to continue the event with me instead. It meant a lot, and I believe the conversation we had was incredibly important. The clips are everywhere now, and I'm proud of how it turned out. We covered major topics: questions about the Catholic faith and the Pope, discussions around Epstein, immigration, H-1B visas, and much more. Overall, it was a meaningful and memorable conversation, and I'll always look back on it with appreciation. But the real story remains a difficult choice Erika had to make by not attending. When you're a parent, and your children are one decision away from potentially losing you, and security professionals give you that kind of warning, you take it seriously. We did, and that was the right call. Now, while all of this was happening, the internet, as always, was doing what it does best. It became a circus. Blake, I saw you dealing with some of that online chaos yourself. There are a lot of disgusting people on the internet who absolutely need to be called out. I've watched you slowly reach your limit with some of these people, and honestly, I respect how controlled and measured you stay. You handle it well. There was also another story developing around the event itself. We had over 2,000 people, mostly students, show up, which is huge for a college event. That kind of turnout is massive. At the same time, there was intense counter-protest energy building around the campus. It was the main topic everyone was talking about. When you combine that with death threats, doxing, and all the travel-related security risks, it created a very serious situation. Because of that, we had to adjust things quickly, including opening and closing doors earlier than originally planned. Some people noticed that and started asking questions, especially after what happened recently with Savannah and Minneapolis. That situation was definitely part of our internal discussions too. Then, as usual, several left-wing activist groups tried to interfere with the event through ticket manipulation. They do this often. In this case, we had around 10,000 tickets reserved for a venue that realistically only holds about 4,000 with the stage setup. Without the stage, it's closer to 6,000 for something like a hockey event, but once production is added, capacity drops. Even with that, we still had more than 2,000 people physically there. Huge energy, strong enthusiasm, and a fantastic atmosphere. What these groups do is reserve massive numbers of tickets with no intention of showing up. Their goal is to block real attendees from getting in. Normally, we're pretty good at identifying those patterns, but this time they used some newer methods that made it harder to catch early. We're already working with our ticketing teams to fix that going forward. So yes, it was definitely an eventful night. But honestly, the most important part is still the conversation itself and what was actually discussed. Tens of thousands, probably millions by now, have already seen those clips. One of the best parts of these events is being able to highlight wins that don't get enough attention. One example that stood out to me was a discussion about H-1B visas, something students ask about all the time. He pointed out that the number of new H-1B approvals is down dramatically, around 90%. He also talked about false asylum claims, saying millions were entering the country every year through fraudulent asylum cases, and now those numbers have dropped by over 95%. He said the administration has made major progress. Massive cuts in fraudulent asylum claims, fraudulent visas, and H-1B approvals. That's a huge issue for a lot of students and workers, and hearing direct answers on it matters. Another strong moment came when people kept pressing him about comments involving the Pope. It was interesting because for years, Catholic politicians were criticized for being too influenced by the Pope. Now, suddenly the criticism is the opposite, that he refuses to be controlled by him. Strange reversal. He responded by addressing a quote about God never being on the side of those who use force. His answer was sharp. He asked, was God not on the side of the Americans who helped free France from the Nazis? Was God not on the side of those who liberated Holocaust survivors from concentration camps? His point was clear. Sometimes force is used to stop evil, and pretending otherwise ignores history. There was also one heckler in the crowd shouting accusations about genocide in Palestine. I noticed that moment too, and honestly, I thought he handled it extremely well. He pushed back strongly, saying peace had actually been brought there, and the crowd responded loudly in support. That energy in the room was powerful. People were fully engaged, and several of his answers landed like true mic drop moments. Due to major security concerns, her appearance at the event had to be canceled. This wasn't some last-minute surprise. It was something our team had been closely monitoring for several days leading up to the event. In fact, we even had a separate high school appearance scheduled before the college event, and we had to cancel that one early because of the increasing online threats our security team was tracking. At first, we believed the main event could still move forward safely, since Secret Service protection was involved. We assumed that with enough precautions in place, everything would remain under control. But the situation quickly became far more serious. I do have to be careful